So, what is your, I don't know if you can even say, but what is your company's overall thoughts on where this is going to go, and if there's even a strategy to combat any of these potential pitfalls that the politicians keep putting in our way?
Oh dear. I mean, certainly I'm not speaking on behalf of anyone except for myself right now, and just the research I've done in the last couple of weeks, but I would think it's about really good communication, really good frequent communication between management and the employee, because very few employees are even working right now. And if you have a non-exempt employee working from home, I mean, who would that even be? It'd be such a rare...
Lawyers, basically.
But they would be exempt.
Yeah,
so if you have who needs to take meal breaks and rest breaks and so on, right? It's a very limited, very small group. So most of the people will be lawyers who, we don't ever take lunch breaks or rest breaks or, get paid for overtime or any of those things. But if you keep that really good communication with your hourly workers who are actually still reporting to work, then you can, avoid, I think, a lot of heartache later on. Just thank you for being here. Thanks for continuing to work when the whole world is going crazy. We're really proud, and you should be proud to still have a job and still be getting paid when all these, changes are being made left and right. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but for today, thank you. If you just keep that line of communication open, then when a problem comes up, hopefully your employee would come to you rather than going to the labor board or to a plaintiff's attorney.
Yeah.
Optimistic.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the pitfalls, and the pitfalls I've identified is basically the wage and hour stuff, but I'm trying to figure out, with everything that's coming down, what are the obvious pitfalls? It's I was thinking today that with all the stuff coming out, and then when I read it and I go, hey, but this is going to cause this problem, or when a client calls me, it makes me think of, like, I Love Lucy, you know what I mean? Where the government is like Lucy, they're trying to do some good, but then they just screw everything up, and then make bigger problems. And so it's very tough to even answer specific questions from clients, where a client says, this very specific instance, like, this person has this situation and what do I do? And then it's like, okay, today this is what you do, but tomorrow this may be terrible advice, because these things, just keep changing daily, right? So what do you do except try to figure out the most common sense thing, But if some good came out of this, it's certainly making my litigation negotiations go better, because now it's like, hey, that money that you were demanding, it's not there. You gotta go way lower, because my client does not have an operating business right now. So I know you have a lawsuit pending, but so what?
Yeah.
The courts are basically shut down and the businesses are shut down. So what money is it that you're coming after? So I must say, in the last week, I've gotten some really good results based on that, but that still doesn't help the business owners. And what bothers me about California and the way California leadership thinks is that tax the businesses and the productive people, right? And then use that tax for whatever they use it for, wastefulness or whatever. An emergency happens, okay, how are the business owners gonna solve this problem for us? And without even the using all of that entrepreneurial brain power that could probably solve a lot of these problems for them. It's just basically take from them and we'll figure out how to solve it. But because they're not business owners, they don't know the effect of it. They think there's no difference between Exxon and the restaurant on the corner. They just think it's flush with money. But
it does seem that way. I mean, given how the laws are written sometimes, it seems like no one who's writing them has actually run a business before, but this is a really different time. So, I mean, in line with communicating with your employees, it just seems like a really good time to be incredibly flexible, to be understanding, to realize a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck from every level in the business. It doesn't matter how much money's coming in. Some people are very good at spending money. So it's just a very good time to be flexible and understanding. And I think that some of the laws even speak to that. I just read about, I mean, I think you know already in the federal law that came out, there's payroll tax credits that are available. Obviously, tax filing deadlines have been pushed back and so on. And so there was also a charitable donation credit. I think it was like, I want to say, oh, I can't remember, something, a few $100s, or they increased the amount that you can credit back without having to itemize it on your tax return. But just putting money together for other people in this crazy, insane time, because there are really, I mean, there are resources available, but a lot of them come out of the pockets of the employer. So you have, you know, if your hours were cut as an employee, then you can apply for for unemployment insurance, but you, as the employer, have been paying into that for however long. Yeah. If the employee can't work because they caught coronavirus, then they can file for disability insurance, but as the employer, you've been paying for that. And then, of course, if they caught the disease while they were, you know, working the check stand at Ralph's, then they're at work, and so they can file a workers' comp claim, but whose mod rate and premium is that going to affect, you know? So there's like many layers of, and then of course you have your sick pay and any other paid time off that you were going to offer, and then the forced sick leave and paid time off that now even the federal government and the city of LA is going to increase. So it's just, a lot of resources are available, but they seem to be, it's what you said, you know, the business owners are becoming responsible to take care of it.
So I've terminated lots of people in my life, and I've never liked any of it. Yeah, it's never fun, even whether they deserve it or not. Sometimes it's just a layoff, sometimes it doesn't work out, sometimes they're just bad employees and you got to get rid of them. And that's the question I get, that I'm getting most, like what's the liability if I, you know, lay these people off? And you know, some employers have taken this as an opportunity to lay off bad employees because they're like, oh, coronavirus. But I've been like, whoa, wait a minute. Okay, so this will be retaliation if that's the only person that you're laying off. That's an easy retaliation claim in my mind, right? So, hey, I'm a business that's thriving in this because I'm delivery or whatever other ones are thriving. And there's this one particular person that I want to get rid of. Well, you should, if you're going to get rid of them, it should be because of cause, not using this coronavirus thing, because at the end of the day, you lay them off, you don't lay anybody else off, right? So it's not a business need based on coronavirus. And if you have a legit reason to terminate them, insubordination, late all the time, whatever it is, that's a better reason to me than trying to use the coronavirus as an excuse, because at least I can say, no, I wasn't retaliating. Look at all the problems that this employee has been. Whereas if I lay off and say, no, coronavirus, and they come back and say, no, they retaliated against me because I'm Chinese, right? That's the example I've always used, Chinese, but maybe I should revisit that in the coronavirus era. But so
okay, Trump.
yeah. So they laid me off. They laid me off because I'm Chinese, right? And then you would then come back and say, no, it wasn't Chinese because they were this terrible employee. They're like, okay, well, why didn't you terminate them for that? Why did you use this excuse and not lay off anybody else? You know. So my advice this week has been, don't just use this as an excuse because you can, you know, because I think that's just gonna backfire. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, no one should be using the coronavirus as an excuse, because
including employees, right?
No one. It's bad karma, and it doesn't look good. I mean, imagine if you're the first employer who's firing someone for coronavirus, or the first person back in line at eviction court evicting someone for coronavirus. I mean, how terrible is that going to reflect on you and your business and there's just too many people are trying to make memes and, you know, little things they can send around online that make jokes about all of these issues, and you just don't want to be the one who's, you know, the example. And also, there are some retention incentives you can have as an employer. So if you look at the federal law that was passed, it's called the Families First Act, and they have some, you know, I don't know if it's a tax credit or payroll credit or what, but there's definitely incentives to retain employees.